Yeah, we'll have
And
to.
sometimes, like I said, that takes some upfront work. So there's some investment upfront because it generally takes some time, some engineering time, and things like that. So to be fair, everyone's would look at that and say, well, obviously, well, then no one should ever use optical encoders. I agree, but the reason that they're still around in some of these applications is because that investment that they're just companies are running quick and they don't have time to make that upfront investment. Um, and so that's the main hill that we have to get over. And once we do, it's funny. I tell our sales guys, once you get a design win one time, it opens the floodgates. And in fact, whereas with most products, you like these new designs, or you're looking for guys that have never done anything like this before. I actually get excited when we find out that a customer's been using a competitor magnetic angle sensor, because it eliminates that first hill. Like, oh, okay, they already have a magnet supplier. They're already comfortable with the magnetics. All we have to do now is show, that we're faster, higher performance, a little bit lower cost. It sometimes can be easier, knowing that they have that magnetic experience in their belt already.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's a learning curve for companies the first time. So we'll have our um, we'll have that webinar that we'll put on in the future on how to get over, quickly get through that learning curve.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
idea.
Yeah. And what are you seeing once a company does do that first project and then they go to the second project? What, like, as far as is there still, I'm assuming the design time for that aspect drops significantly. What's your
It,
experience with customers on the second version?
yeah. So, usually the designs are unique. So there's still mechanical work and some things that need to be done, but you've already got a trusted magnetic supplier, let's say. You already know the basics of how our sensor works, the IO, and maybe the tricks of, oh, I could put it in so-called side shaft next to the shaft, or I could put it side shaft orthogonal. Kind of what your degrees of freedom are. Customers know what I can do in terms of simulation and how I can help, and how to basically best utilize um, my abilities. Um, and so it becomes, I would say, the first design at any customer is usually, because there's this just things that they didn't expect. And I suffer from I've been doing this for so long that you forget, you just think, oh, well, yeah, of course, everybody
Of
knows
course,
that.
you
And
wouldn't do
you're
that.
like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I would say that the subsequent designs usually happen, in a fifth, 20% of the time that the first one does, just because that first one, there's a lot of other things to deal with,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Well, I mean, those are all good, let's say, just kind of rules of thumb for people to understand, where, there's a huge cost savings potential when
Mm,
switching. There is an initial learning curve and some investment in time that the engineering team will have to, and you clearly can help them out to get through that as quick as possible. Um, and
gotcha, yeah.
but in future projects, they get the benefit payoff of not only the savings, but then also the savings of the time on
Exactly. Yeah. It turns into quite a
design.
long term
Yeah,
turns into quite a long term savings eventually.
yeah,
And it's nice for us because it's almost an annuity then, because you say, oh, okay, good. Now next design, hey, here's our next newest sensor,
right.
and here's the improvements. Oh, cool. Integrate that in, and um, yeah, it's nice for both sides, I think.
Yeah, great. Is there any? I think that's a great overview. Again, we'll plug our upcoming webinar on how we walk through an actual application design and the design process and thoughts that you go through. Are there any other closing comments for people to understand or think about?
Let's see. I think we covered quite comprehensively. I can't think of anything else that that we missed out on. I'm sure that we'll have stuff. People, I don't know if this people will be able to comment on this and ask questions. We can answer
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, I mean, we'll chop out different pieces here as needed, but yeah, no, that was great. I mean, that's